Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. So, today I'm going to do my witchy review on the movie Bad Hair. It's available on Hulu. It came out October 23rd. The writer and director is Justin Simeon, and it stars Elle Lorraine, who I think is fabulous, Lena Waithe, Vanessa Williams, Kelly Rowland, and Laverne Cox, along with a lot of other very recognizable people in the cast, and Usher being one of them. But anyway, all right, so let's get into it. So, it was a little cheesy. It's a horror film, by the way, so keep that in mind. I think it's a little cheesy, but I hung in there because I kind of wanted to stop watching it. I had to pause a few times to make dinner and do other stuff, but I stayed true. I made my notes, and I actually 2 whole pages, front and back, on this movie. And I'm gonna give spoilers because I don't know how to talk about it without doing that. But basically, it opens up the character. The main character, her name is Anna. She is obsessed with Sandra. That's a singer played by Kelly Rowland. She looks, she gives you Janet Jackson vibes. It's, by the way, the movie takes place in the 80s, late 80s, so there's that. When the weave thing was starting to really come on. So, and it was well, shoot, it still is expensive. But anyway, now, I don't know, I'll get back to that. I was going to say, do people do weave? Anyway, of course people do weaves. I'll move on. Anyway, so the premise is basically, she's infatuated with this artist, this Sandra person, and Sandra just got her hair done, and her latest video came out, and Anna is just enamored with everything. She wears a natural hair, her natural hair, and she has natural 4C hair. So she works for this company called Culture, which kind of gives you the flavor of like maybe BET. And basically they were trying to, stay afloat. They got new management. New management says, we're changing the name, we're changing everything. Anna has been an assistant for 4 years. At least she wanted an opportunity to grow in the company. Well, with new management, played by Vanessa Williams' character, and the guy from Dawson's Creek, because I didn't write his name down, the white guy that starred in Dawson's Creek. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, Google it. Anyway, their new management. So long story short, the company is erupting in a bunch of changes, layoffs. So Anna is barely getting by on her assistant's salary. She goes ahead and, has her interview. It's basically an interview to see if she can keep her job. The Vanessa Williams character goes ahead and, gives her a shot and puts her on. But hey, by the way, if you really want this to go well for yourself, you're going to need to do something about your hair. She gives her, she told her she should think about doing something to her hair. So the assistant actually tells her to go to a place called Vergie's, or Vergie's. Vergie's. So Vergie's is basically Lorraine Cox, her character. That's her salon. She puts in the weave, and the movie, this is when the movie tends to, when it gets a little bit more ominous. There were little hints in the beginning when Anna was with her family, and they were talking about the story of a Moss girl. Anyway, but yeah, so there's an opportunity for Anna to pick out the hair, because, Vergie's has a supply of hair, and she could pick, and the weaves are just hanging like on a clothesline or something, and you just pick which one you want, and she picked her favorite. She said it actually spoke to her. Now, there's a whole lot that happened before then, as far as just giving a little bit more, or attempting to give a little bit more character development on Anna's relationship with her hair. However, I'm not going to break it down scene by scene, although I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting piece to watch in general. I'll just say that much. So, by the way, Anna ends up getting the promotion. She gets the weave put in, and as it's being put in, oh, that part really got to me, how she was going through with the weave needle, if any of you are familiar with that, but it looks like she, you know, the hair, it was getting into her scalp. It makes me itch when I watch that. It was freaking me out. That was the tough part for me to watch, because it just made me want to itch. I don't know why I had that reaction. My daughter said there's a name for it. I can't remember, when you watch certain things and you have it makes you itchy. So, I don't know, that happened to me. So going to this hair salon was clearly a defining moment. When she's finally her hair is done, Sandra, you know, the Kelly Rowland character, comes in, and she's very famous. So Virgie's book, she don't just take anybody now. Poor Anna had to kind of beg her way in to that appointment. But anyway, Sandra walks in with Usher as her man, and her hair was a mess because she got it wet, which did remind me of the times when, you know, way back in the day, I had a weave. It was something to be said about not getting it wet, because it would get messed up. But there was a different reason, a supernatural reason in this movie for that. So what I just want to say, what lends this movie to it being a horror movie is the hair itself is enchanted. It's actually the hair of ancient witches. That's part of the story of the Moss Girl, and that's broken down in the movie. The family, her uncle reads this story. He apparently likes to read old folk tales. They're called slave tales. Yes, slave tales. So that was one of the stories. He let her Anna read the book. She read it, but she didn't finish that story, because had she finished it, she might not have gotten that hair. So the story, and this is where it really becomes a spoiler, the story continues on, and then, you know, basically the women who went to Virgie's have this enchanted hair, and the hair basically needs blood, and so the hair is like a vampire, because the witches obviously that haunted that tree, or buried at that tree, or whatever the situation is. And you know, now that I think about it, I'm trying to remember if they explain that and I just missed it, or it's the witch's hair. So the tree, it looks like hair that grows from the tree. And I think witches were buried there, or they enchanted it. I'm still not 100% sure how that was explained, but that's okay. Anyway, all the women who got the hair from Virgie's, basically their hair, you know, tries to basically get in their head and turn them into killers. They get these glowing eyes and everything. So that's the horror part of it. The deeper part of it, and why I'm talking about it on this channel, one, they talked about witches, but there's a couple themes at play here. One, not all witches are evil. However, I can understand if there had been, and I think the witches were Native American. They were Native American or something like that. And the land was owned by slave owners. And you'll see how that comes into play at the end with the Dawson Creek's character, by the way, because, you know, you don't really pay him much attention in the movie, but he's actually supplying the hair. It's a whole thing. But anyway, through his family's land, because he is a descendant of slave owners. The Native American women, apparently, they were the witches, I believe they were referring to, because that was their hair. And the idea that, I don't know, I don't know why they made the tree. I don't know if they did that because the land was taken from them. I think that was the premise. Because I think there was something more to that, and I wanted to kind of revisit it. But it's kind of disappointing to constantly see like vengeful, evil witches always portrayed in movies. The hair thing, though, because there was conversation on naturals, but even another character on there who had natural hair eventually ended up to be more presentable on TV because they were pushing for that. She went ahead and got a weave too. all of them did actually. They all went and got weaves done. I'll just say this. Women can wear their hair, black women can wear their hair however they want. I'm wearing, I'm on lock journey myself, but I will just go into this. One of the comments that one of the natural haired women had said about why she didn't want to wear it. She said, yeah, she doesn't know how you could sew someone else's dead energy into their head is beyond me. That's her quote. Yeah. I don't know how you can sew someone else's dead energy into your head is beyond me. So that's what she said. And that struck out to me. That stood out to me, that comment, because all I kept thinking is that is kind of how I see it. A lot of times, a lot of us say the hair is the antenna into the universe. It's a way of communication. Some people believe that. I'm one of those people who I would give some weight to that as well. So when you are adding in someone else's hair, what does that mean? I know there's a belief that, those you have sex with, that there's energy that's being left on both of you from that experience, or at least whenever I see it framed, it's always from a woman's perspective. The more people you have sex with, they're leaving their energy on you. And if you're going through too many things in your life, maybe because you slept with too many people. So if we can buy into that, and I see a lot of people passing that kind of stuff around in social media, by the way, if we could buy into that, those same women are wearing another person's hair on their head. And if I understand correctly, hair is gathered, but isn't it mixed up? Because is it just the hair of one person? Isn't it, I don't know, when they pull all the hair together, are they saying, oh, this was donor A, or first of all, I don't know about donor, but donor A, donor B's hair and so forth, and they keep that separate, or do they mix like hair up? I'm thinking they mix like hair up, right? So that means you might have the hair of multiple women on your head. And wouldn't that be true about that energy? Aren't you keeping that energy on? On you? Isn't that getting interspersed with your energy? So if you're having problems or issues or things like that, maybe it's other people's energy, especially if that hair was gotten in a negative way, meaning the person didn't voluntarily have their hair taken off their head, shaved off their head. Instead, maybe they were forced. I know in China, that's actually a thing, by the way. CNN did a story not too long ago about that, how those horrible camps that they have in China, set up corrective camps or wherever they're calling them, they have women, they'll shave their head, and they don't tell them that that's what it's for, although they can deduce that because, by the way, they force them to work inside the factories where they manufacture the hair. And supposedly, where we are as of now, most of the hair is coming from China. A good amount of the hair that women are in this country are putting in their hair is coming from China. So something to think about. So also for the women who were duped, meaning they thought they were donating their hair for sacrificing their hair for religious purposes, spiritual purposes, and then the hair was sold. So that to me has energy as well. So that's what I've kind of wanted to get into. And I realize this is a very sensitive subject, but because I am a black woman, I'm allowed to talk about it. I think I can talk about it. Also, I'm a black woman of a certain age. I'm a black woman who has worn weaves and wigs in her time. Never really got into the braids. A few times they were too heavy. I didn't like it. But yeah, in my 20s, I definitely wore weaves often. I would do them myself. Wigs for sure. And then I want to say once I moved out of New Jersey to Florida, I didn't wear them anymore because when I got to Florida, it was hot. Coming from New Jersey, it was too dang hot to be walking around with something on my hair. I still don't know how those women do it because I was feeling like, I was much younger, so it wasn't like a hot flash moment. It was just too dang hot to be walking around with some extra hair on my head. So, actually, I ended up cutting all my hair off and I went natural. So, I was on some different stuff then. But anyway, I just feel like it definitely is a message. Now, just to give you an idea of who wrote and directed the movie, that guy Justin Simeon, he identifies as queer. So just to be clear, he wrote this, and I thought that was interesting. I knew when I was watching this movie it's written by a man, not from a negative point of view. You can just tell. I could just tell. I was like, this was not written by a woman. But anyway, the concept is interesting, but I definitely knew it was written by a man. Let me see what else I wanted to get into. So the end was interesting because they somehow managed to tie in the slave, because it was old slave tales. The book was Slave Tales. That's what it was called. And in the end, like I said, the Dawson's Creek character was a descendant of the original slave owner who had that moss tree on his property. And there's a whole story of one of his slaves went and took hair down from the tree because she thought it was pretty and looked like it was the actual hair, the moss, and she fashioned a wig, and come to find out it was enchanted, and it killed her master because he had been bleeding, and this attracted the blood. So anyhow, this all gets sort of a come together moment. I felt like the movie was reaching in a lot of different spaces to make a point about the hair. One, it was tapping into Black women feeling like they have to conform, and as I scratch my hair, Black women who think they have to conform to be seen as attractive, to be seen as professional, with straight hair, specifically weaved in hair. So there's that theme that's being explored. The other thing is this relationship in general. Anna, there's a scene in the beginning where she's getting a hair relaxer. She chemically burns her head, and her hair never grows back in that section. So also that as well, it's kind of breaking into, her having this feeling of not feeling good enough or to be enough. And she's constantly trying to put herself out there. She's a little meek and she's kind of quiet. That sort of thing. And it also goes into the racial thing again, because it was called Slave Tales, so it's talking about slavery and how even years later these descendants of slave owners are basically still preying on Black people, specifically Black women with this hair. So my overall, if you don't watch it, you're fine. It was interesting. Like I said, I had to push myself to watch it. I didn't like to finish watching it because it gave me the heebie-jeebies a little bit. Like the hair thing, every time I saw it, it was, ugh. I don't know, it kind of grossed me out for some reason. I had a reaction that made me feel gross. I don't do weaves. I don't do wigs at this point in my life. I don't plan on wearing wigs and weaves. Like I said, I'm speaking for myself. However, I do want to kind of highlight a little bit more about that energy thing. So I think there's something to be said for that. If you can buy into the one thing, either way, it's always about women and, managing what we do and what we don't do, whether it's how we wear our hair or how many people we sleep with and all that sort of stuff. But the concept is, whenever there's an interaction, we have to, have, the burden is on us, basically, including hair, apparently. With that, again, being said, I still think there is something to do with the energy. Now, the politics behind wearing lace fronts, weaves, braid extensions, and so forth, I'm not even going to touch into that. That's not what this channel's about. But I will just leave you with this. I've been on this earth for some years now, several decades, many decades. All right, not that many, but anyway, I have seen an evolution, and if you're paying attention, we all have. I think certain things are trendy and they come in and out of fashion because the natural hair movement, that You got to remember in the 70s there was Afro. It came back, the natural hair movement. A lot of people are still holding strong onto that, although that's been co-opted by the loose wavy curl pattern influencers who are kind of people, even if you have 4C hair, they're tuning into that for whatever reason, which is cool, but I don't know. It's tough if you have kinkier hair. You see less of them in social media anymore with the how-tos on hair and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, what you do see is more lace fronts. Even the natural hair bloggers, you're finding they're, putting on the wig, they're showing you how to do lace fronts and all this stuff. So you're seeing, or weaves actually, you're seeing more of that. So it does say something about collectively black women, and this is in this country and also in countries in Africa, because I watch a lot of movies, African movies on Netflix, those African movies. And there are some occasional people you see with their own hair out. You might see one or two, but most of the cast all has on a wig. And they usually are bad wigs, but we're not going to get into that. Anyway, they have on wigs. And here in this country, when I go out, I just went to Vegas. And Vegas is the place you can go. You want to meet people from all over. And literally every black woman I saw had on a wig. Everyone. It became a game at this point that I started playing with myself. I wasn't thinking about it, but I saw this one girl and her hair was really long. I was like, And I was waiting in line, and I was like, wow, her hair is super long. And then, I don't know, I started, you have random thoughts. I didn't have anything else to do, so I'm people watching. And then I was like, wait. And then I'm noticing a trend. Everybody's got on a wig. Every black woman I saw. So it begs the question, what is going on with us that we all wear somebody else's hair on our head? It's just hair. That comment was actually said, oh, it's just hair. The other thing is, it's none of your business what I wear on my head. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm not worried about it. But we're part of a larger society, and it's okay. It's okay to wonder and to think about and see these things and wonder, why is that? Why are so many black women wearing someone else's hair on their head and their hair texture? And if I'm going to break it down further, if you are someone who practices witchcraft or pagan or whatever you want to say in that realm, right? And you're aware of energy and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I've seen people who, I don't let certain people come in my home because I don't want them to bring certain energy. They're very focused on good vibes, energy, good energy, bad energy. However, see them and they'll have somebody else's hair on their head. Now every time you see them, and it does make you wonder. So do you do some sort of ritual or some sort of enchantment to take away, cleanse the energy from the hair? I'm sure some people do, but I don't think everybody does that, especially if you're going to get it done at a place, right? So you don't have access to the hair to do that. So how are you going to do that? What do you do it afterwards once it's already in your head? I'm just saying, it's something to think about. It's not a judgmental thing. It's more of, honestly, of a question thing. And no, everybody doesn't wear a wig, because I remember having this conversation with someone not too long ago about hair, and it was like, well, you don't know why they wear it. Maybe they wear it because they're having a hair issue, alopecia, all that. Let's just, for the record, exclude people who are dealing with thinning and hair loss. By the way, I had suffered from that earlier this year, late last year. So we're going to exclude them out of this conversation for a moment, and let's just talk about people who, as they say, it's a style, it's a choice, it's just hair. Those folks. I am curious, what is going on that majority of women are wearing not only someone else's hair, but typically someone else's hair texture on their head, because texture is also a whole other part of the conversation. Again, focusing on those who subscribe to, I'm careful of other people's energy, and that's why you can't, because I don't like when people come for women about who they have sex with, who they, how many people they have sex with, all that stuff. I don't like that. So to me, they kind of go together. That's a trigger for me, because I'm like, whoa. You walking around with a full, head of hair on your head from who knows where, how the hair was gotten to be made into that wig that's on your head. You're not concerned about that, but you want to tell somebody else, basically, they have evil spirits on them because they were whoring around. That's basically what they're saying. I don't know. I put those two things together. It just makes me think. And again, I I don't know. In the same way that I see women online coming for women who date outside their race, and I'm looking at you and you got on this other person's hair on your head, and I'm like, wait, I'm scratching my head. Like, what? You worried about who she's sleeping with? Meanwhile, you over here wearing somebody else's hair on your head. Like I said, I don't want to get it political or take this into a totally different direction. Again, as someone who wore them, wigs and weaves and all that sort of stuff, like I said, extensions, I had fun with it, especially in my 20s. It was fun to wear my hair and change it up different colors and styles, and I still think that's fun. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to buying a wig anytime soon, again, because the way my body temperature is set up, I don't think that's possible, but it's still a great idea. If my daughter walked in with one, it wouldn't kill me, although I don't know how she fit all her hair under a wig, but anyway, it is what it is. Again, it is choice. It is a style. I understand that it's just an option. But when, to me, the curiosity factor comes in when someone is telling me it's just a style and just an option, but you never see their hair. And to take it more to a spiritual point of view, this same person is, telling you a lot about good vibes and energy and all the mysticism and, esoteric and all that sort of stuff as they wear somebody else's wig on their head. And you know that they're not doing anything spiritual to cleanse that hair. I just feel like it's a missed opportunity for a lot of women who are doing that. And by the way, if, you hadn't thought of that before, maybe metaphysically cleanse that hair of whatever energy whoever it was attached to, because there's some belief that the energy is still there, in that hair, just because it's not attached to that person's head, it's still there. If you cut it, they will burn it to make sure no one else could get a hold of their hair, because that's, it has their energy signature, so it could be used against them, and like root work and things like that. So, which lends itself, again, I gotta ask the question. So if we know this, why are we so cavalier about wearing somebody else's hair on our head? Why? And then I have an idea of what that answer is, because I think we've been very influenced, by European culture, to the point that you're not, to be a baddie, to look very attractive, to be dateable. I'm finding that there are some women who truly believe they've got to wear that wig. And that makes me feel sad. If you want to wear a wig, you want to wear a wig, that's fine, whatever. But I don't think you should feel like you have to be accepted. When I wore my hair natural, and it was shorter, because that's key, because people are okay if it's longer, I noticed. But anyway, it was shorter. I had cut it down, so it wasn't like I had no hang time yet. I was still at that phase where it could be a fro. I had gotten this job, and I was interviewing for the job, actually, and a friend of mine, who I'm no longer friends with, had asked me a question about my hair, and they were like, oh, are you going to do something with your hair? I said, oh, yeah, I didn't even pick up one. I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to pull it back, gel it back, and then put a headband on. And they were like, no, aren't you going to wear a wig or something? It was like, I think you might want to do that. You know how, they kind of make it a point, how folks are about the hair thing, and, they're going to say you don't look professional. I wore my hair the way I said I was going to wear my hair, and I got the job. Nobody was worried about my hair, to be honest with you. I think, to be honest with you, the people who care about hair the most are black people, more so than the white people we assume are judging us about the hair. I'm not saying people don't get judged, because obviously we have landmark cases to prove otherwise, but often I think it's more of us judging each other about hair than it is any outside ethnicity or races judging us about our hair. But we have that complex because of, again, colonialism, slavery, and so forth. So it's a complex thing to think about on the whys, and like I said, I understand that. But in 2020, with more resources, more information, more understanding, we're coming into a sort of a spiritual high, I think, collectively on this planet. And, you know, this movie kind of highlighted something I had been thinking about all along, a little bit, you know, on this hair thing. Is it really just hair in the end? I mean, we've got to start asking ourselves, is it really just hair? I don't know. But that's all I got on it. So, Bad Hair, Hulu. Watch it if you like. Leave in the comments if you feel differently, or if you kind of get what I'm saying a little bit about this, and or if you've seen the movie, or if you plan on watching it. So let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please like the video and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Please share. And again, if you've subscribed already, I appreciate it and I thank you very much. All right, bye-bye.